YouTube Ozzy in the Goat House is back. And I actually already recorded this video and uploaded it. Realized the audio was all messed up. Something wasn't plugged in. First time I've done that. But I have DeAndre Hopkins landing spots ranked here 10-1. We have a wild card in there as well. So that was big news today. He is the biggest free agent available. The big question is, will he chase the money? Will he chase the contender? Will he go right in the middle of that? That's kind of the big question. We're always talking with you guys on Twitter with stuff like this. Make sure you follow that. Links pinned in the comments. Check out our YouTube shorts. Check out sponsors, TikTok. Links pinned in the comments. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. You guys know the drill. I already did this, so I'm kind of going to go through it real quick this time. Panthers are the wild card team. They actually have a lot of cap space. They could use another receiver, even though they've added some receivers. It could be an appealing landing spot, adding Bryce Young. This would be a landing spot if he is kind of chasing the money a little bit because they have a bit to offer. Maybe there's a couple of the Bears have more to offer. I don't think the Bears will be interested. I don't think he'll be interested in the Bears, but they have a lot of cap space, so they possibly could have the highest bid there. So the Panthers, again, that's what's tricky to figure out. If Hopkins is chasing the money or if he's chasing the contender, like where is he at with that? If he's going all for money and he can't pass it up, watch out for a team like the Panthers. The Dolphins are interesting team here. They could add another receiver, believe it or not, on top of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They're in line to get some more cap space June 2nd because of Byron Jones' cut. That's a post-June 1st cut. It's like $13 million or so. So that'd be pretty big. They want this to Mike McDaniel wants to be a pass-first offense here. So Miami, a very appealing landing spot. We saw the situation with Jalen Ramsey as well. So the Dolphins come in at 10. They're due a little bit more cap space here in a little bit, so you got to hang on a little bit. Number 9, the Lions they're kind of in the same boat as the Panthers. Like they have a good amount of cap space. They might have the biggest offer at the end of the day, and it's somewhat of an appealing landing spot now here. And the Lions seem to be all in. Jameson Williams can be suspended for a little bit, so do they want to just wait? Do they want just to get better, and or maybe they want to wait for him to come back, and they feel like they don't need a receiver? It's a possibility as well. They did lose DJ Chark. I mean, Williams was supposed to be that replacement, but another one of those ones where if he chases the money, and not that it's not a good landing spot, it's a good landing spot, but to me, it's like you either can chase the big-time quarterback, like easy Super Bowl contender, and take a discount, or chase the money. Could be somewhere in the middle. 8's going to be the Vikings. They recently cleared some space, trading Zadarius Smith, and they might be moving on from Dalvin Cook to whether it's a trade cut or it could be a pay cut, I suppose, and so they can clear even more space. Pass-first offense, they could look to add him on top of Jefferson, Addison. They also have Osborne as well. I could see them, all of a sudden, I was getting, earlier on Twitter, I was kind of listing teams in tiers, but I've kind of tweaked and I was thinking after that, and maybe the Vikings are more of a landing spot than I thought, more of a legit landing spot, but I kind of calmed down that a little bit. I think they may like what they have. They're going to use 2 tight ends a bit, but they'll have some cap space, and I don't know if they would pass up an opportunity to get better at that position too. They value it a lot, so interesting team there. Eagles are kind of in the same boat. They have cap space right now. They wouldn't make the biggest offer, but they can make a decent size offer, and they're a contender. So it's kind of that team that's like in the middle, a contender, offer a decent amount of money. That's maybe more likely where Hopkins will go, is like somebody that can do both those things. Like I don't think he'll go for the dirt cheap contract, even if it's a legit contender, like the most legit contender. And I don't think he will go for. He could actually, but I don't think he would go for maybe not a contender, but a lot of money. So the Eagles kind of fit in the middle. Well, they are a contender, but they kind of fit, like what I mean by the middle is they can kind of offer both of that, so that's why they're pretty appealing, but they also might think they're all right. Like they might think, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, outside receivers that they're good with. They don't want to kind of disrupt that. I know Brown could play on the inside. So they might think and they have Goddard. They use a whole lot too as a weapon. So they might think they're all right. It's an interesting one. 6, the Jets. They wanted OBJ. They did not get him, but they did land other receivers, but they could look to add another one. The chips are all in. They're ready to win right now. They traded for Aaron Rodgers. He might have 1 year left. He might have 2. It could be 3, but it's probably 2. It's probably if things don't go perfect this year, it might be 1. So the Jets know we got to go all in right now. We got to give them everything we can give. So they can add a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, and maybe they move on from a guy like Corey Davis then finally, which we're waiting for. just to get even better. They have the defense, they have the offense, they have the MVP caliber quarterback, so why not? So, they spent a lot at receiver specifically. They spent a lot in general, but so they are a little tight in cap. They won't be able to make a huge offer. It won't be that dirt cheap offer, though. They can actually do something there. So it could be one of those ones that's kind of in the middle there as well, which you could be looking for. 5's the Bills. I mean, everyone's mentioned the Bills. Like, there was a link at one point. He'd be interested in Josh Allen, playing for him, playing with a contender. The Bills would be interested in playing or going to get him. I think we know that. The issue is very, very limited cap space now in the future, so that kind of limits them what they can do. He would have to accept a pretty damn cheap offer to play with a contender, a legit quarterback, which is a possibility. It's gonna be a cheaper offer though. That's the tricky part. That's the tricky part there. So there's kind of strong positives for this to happen, but there are some kind of strong negatives at the same time. I put them at 5 because they are one of those legit contenders that he'd definitely be interested in, but you'd have to accept a cheaper offer there. But I mean, maybe he would. It's a legit spot here. So I got the Bills at 5, Ravens at 4. Which this is kind of the lowest I was going to have the Ravens. I'm kind of like in the 4-3-2 range for the Ravens. They could think they're set. And that was the other thing with the Bills, too. The other thing with the Bills was they might think they're set because they added Dalton Kincaid as a tight end, but he's kind of like a big receiver that's going to play in the slot. And they have some rotational pieces, but they have Diggs and Gabe Davis. They have Dawson. They're going to use 2 tight ends, Kincaid like a receiver. So they actually might think they're set at this point since the draft passed. Could be wrong. But the Ravens, they could think they're set because they add OBJ, they add Zay Flowers, they have Rashad Bateman, they have Devin Duvernay, they add Nelson Aguilar. They might think they're all right. They might think they did enough already. But they're looking to be more effective in the passing game. They gave Lamar Jackson this major contract, so they want it to work out. They want him to give him the best they can give him. So this could be that route. This could be that route there. And they seem to be fans of getting guys on one-year deals and then letting them walk when we get a compensatory pick. And they can do that with both OBJ and DeAndre Hopkins, or they can do it with one or the other. And OBJ has the injury concern, so maybe they want to get another guy just in case. I think they have multiple injury concern receivers. But they did dish out that big money it was a big decision for OBJ, so maybe they hesitate with this too. So there are some strong positives, but there are some things that kind of strong arguments for the other side as well here. The Browns probably aren't being talked about enough. I mean, there's obvious reasons. It just seems like it has to happen. Maybe not quite that, but it just makes a lot of sense, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Deshaun Watson's there. It's a legit roster. They have the offensive line as well, but having that connection with Deshaun Watson is absolutely huge. And, so that's big. They have a little bit of space. They won't be able to make the biggest offer. But they won't give the dirt cheap one probably. So appealing spot that way. The issue is they're way in the negative in the future space. So this have to be a 1-year deal probably. They do have ways to clear space in the future, restructures, things like that, but they are pretty far in the negative because the spending they've been doing, mainly with Deshaun Watson. So it is a little tricky for that reason, but they could get him on a 1-year deal. It's an appealing spot. It just makes a lot of sense because of the connections and everything else. Number 2, I ended up bumping up quite a bit. I mean, when we talked about Hopkins possibly being available months and months ago, we mentioned the Patriots kind of every time. So let's stick with it, them towards the top. They have a lot to offer in terms of money. They have a decent amount of cap space. So there's that. There's been a link before. We know they were interested at least at one point. They still should be. I think Hopkins would have interest in them. Are they as appealing as, Josh Allen will say, or there's more examples that we'll talk about, but, maybe not. But it's Bill O'Brien I think can be more appealing, despite the history than people think. Mac Jones get back on track. Bill Belichick, winning culture. There'll be some confidence there. So there's a lot of positives here. Like they might make the biggest offer, if not top 3, and they might choose the Patriots over like the Panthers if they are the Packers. Whoever make the biggest offer there, perhaps the Lions, maybe. So that you got that. I think they're appealing. Again, not the most appealing, but they're appealing. I think Bill Belichick will be appealing. We know there's like a link. We know that they will be interested. So that kind of gives me the confidence to put them a little higher there. So I put them at 2. And number 1 is going to be the Chiefs, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, you have Mahomes. That alone is, right there. That might be enough. You have Patrick Mahomes there. So appealing for DeAndre Hopkins. The Chiefs always find ways to get better. They want to stay fresh. They want to stay new, but still stay dominant at the same time. So that makes sense as well. They could use another receiver. Even they have a number of receivers, but they could use a better one, I suppose. It's a championship team, so super appealing once again for DeAndre Hopkins. The negative is they are very limited on cap space right now, very, very limited. But they have future cap space, so they can borrow future cap space, whether that's give DeAndre Hopkins a multi-year deal or put void years on the deal or restructure some contracts right now, which is essentially borrowing future cap, so they can use cap right now for DeAndre Hopkins. So first glance, like the Bills, it's tough because they have limited cap space right now, but they also in the future would have to be a dirt cheap deal. The Chiefs, first glance, limited cap space right now, but there's a little bit easier, flexible ways for the Chiefs to work around that. And then they check the boxes of Mahomes, the elite quarterback, the elite contender, appealing place. We know they had interest at one point. They were given permission to talk to DeAndre Hopkins reportedly by the Cardinals. So there was interest at some point. I know they really like Rashee Rice, who they drafted. They like some of the guys they have, so that maybe that would stop them. But the Chiefs are one of those teams that are like, there's a list of contenders that know how to get good, but then there's a team like the Chiefs that know how to keep getting good and staying fresh, so this has kind of got Chiefs written all over it. But these are tough to rank. Not much splitting them up. There are teams I didn't list that I would put in the conversation as well. Packers, 49ers, perhaps, depending on what those teams want or what their thinking is. But why this is tough is, what is Hopkins going to choose? This is the big storyline. Is he going to go dirt cheap for the contender? Is he going to go, like, if somebody just throws out a big money, he doesn't care who the team is, I'm going to go for that big payday, that big paycheck? Or is it most likely somewhere in the middle, like a really good team that can offer, not that dirt cheap shit, So I think the Chiefs actually could kind of get in that middle spot where they can, in terms of the money, like in the middle, like they can offer a decent amount using future cap space, perhaps, no matter how they do that, and they are a legit contender. So the Chiefs make sense at 1 there. Biggest free agent available. This should be very, very interesting to see how this unfolds. I wonder if it's going to be quick, or it could take some time here. Free agency became a thing right now. So updates, we'll have updates on this on our Twitter, link pin in the comments. We'll do some YouTube. We always do YouTube shorts. I like, if I have to jump on, I can do, like, if I have a quick update on this, I can do that through my phone. So check us out there. Like, subscribe to notifications on. Any links you're looking for, pin in the comments. Gonna do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.